Okay.
Yep.
So obviously we are looking for cold spots with a thermal imaging camera. Okay, so obviously my skin is red, orange, and yellow, right, above my mask. So it's obviously the warmest thing in the picture. We're looking for blue and black to move on its own. Okay. So things that are going to be behind me should be somewhat blue and black now. Yeah. But if you take me out of the picture, it's going to fluctuate based on what's inside the screen. And I'll become the ghost? So literally what you're looking for are those blue and black movements to move on their own. Okay. So, and again, black, it's set up to black, cold, white, hot. So we'll talk more about thermodynamics as we move along. So you're going to hold this horizontal just the way I am, and you're going to be obviously watching it. It will stay on record the entire night. That red square means that it's recording. If you accidentally hit it and turn it to a circle, just let me know, because then I have to splice some video together. Okay. So, but you are going to hold it horizontal, and it does record audio, so it's another form of audio for you guys to be able to pick up EVPs on.
And don't jerk it like you do, please.
It'll be fine. I've had some really bad cameramen where they don't tell me that they are, you know, they forgot to hit the button or whatever. Oh, yeah. So, and I go, you know, put everything together, and there's 35 videos there, and I'm like, it takes me forever to do 2 videos. 35 takes me like 3 hours. Wow. So
pretty cool.
Yeah, you both
really are. Yeah. They are expensive.
Yeah, we're actually going to move out here. We're going to go up a little bit, and kind of, overall, it's like 3/4 of a mile. But we're going to, I mean, I spread out the stories, and obviously you're going to be investigating, so there's a little bit more to it.
Okay.
Emf meters. So you've probably seen these on your TV shows, right? This is the same exact model that they use. Okay. And there's a reason for it. It's very sensitive. It measures all 3 different types of electromagnetic fields. It doesn't record anything, but it is our first indicator that something is happening. Okay. So 3 different types of electromagnetic fields. The first one's natural, comes from the Earth. That's why it's green. The next one is going to be from cell phones or man-made devices. Okay. So it's going to make it go into a pulse. We don't want that either. Okay. That just means it's something man-made, and we can debunk that pretty quickly. We want this thing to go a little crazy. Okay, so when it starts going crazy and I can't see a rhythm out of it, then we might be able to look at our other devices and see what's actually happening.
Put them all together.
Yep. That's going to go to you. Okay. It doesn't vibrate. It doesn't make any noise. If it does anything as far as light up, you got to let us know.
That's the tri-field?
It's not a tri-field. It's the same type of unit. It's just, it's not as complicated as a tri-field. Okay. A tri-field will actually separate those 3 different types.
Oh, okay.
This one just measures all 3. The tri-field is in the works for an upgrade, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll see how it moved like that.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to go to red. So anything off that green that's not a rhythm is a good thing.
Okay. Like jumping.
Yeah. Any change, I guess.
Do you want to put your water in my bag?
It's okay. I have a thing too.
Okay.
So, this is a tool that I normally use, but I actually set up a separate cell phone so I can, because everybody wants to use it. It's an actual app. So the app is unique in the sense that it's a spirit box, but it's meant to be a game or a hoax. So,
is that the one you use, Rocky? Is this the one? No. It's a hoax?
Yeah, so it's actually meant for just like party games. So it's going to give us a word from time to time in the center of the screen, and then save the entire words to a list. And then I give you the entire word list back. We're going to clear out my last tour. He had over 55 words. Wow. So 80% of this is BS. It doesn't mean anything. It's up to me to find the 5 to 20% that it's actually relevant to something happening with us, a location where we are, a person I'm talking about, any of those type of things. And then I will give you a verifiable link of why it's relevant. Okay? And I give you the whole list because sometimes somebody's going to text me and say, my cat's name is Radar, and Cat Radar was on there. I don't know y'all like that. Yeah. So with that being said, that's why I give you the whole list, because there might be something personal to one of you guys.
Find it and correlate it. Okay.
Right, exactly. So that, all you got to do is hold that and let us know what it says when it says it. And we'll kind of see if it's relatable or not.
Perfect.
And we're going to talk more about spirit boxes on our first location as well.
Rachel. That would be weird.
So, normally I get with devices, but it seems like when I don't have things, other than just the recording, because I keep the audio piece on me, it allows me to interact with you guys more. So I'm going to continue to do that for you guys tonight. Okay. That way you're not like kind of left in the dark. I do use a reverse spirit box from time to time, which can be very interesting. It hasn't given me much lately, so I'm going to cut it out of this tour for tonight, and it's not a recordable device anyway.
Okay.
So it's
Roger.
another
Roger that.
So that is more of a last name, and that is interesting only because we are standing near Big John's. How long have you guys lived here?
Going on almost 1.5 years.
Okay, so not very long.
No.
So back in the day, this used to be called Big John's. Big John was a football player for the 1947 New York Giants. He had a bar here in the 50s through the 70s. So he used to sit in the back of the bar, and he would tell if the cadets coming over, if they were of age or not, he would tell the bartender they're okay or get them out of here. So one night, 2 guys come in, they're not of age. Big John says, get them out of here. Next thing you know, they come back the next night, and they try to steal the cash register from the front. Now, Big John sees what's happening. First, there's a little rough and tumble, and there's a couple of shots that were fired. Now, John gets shot in the neck, and it ricochets, and it lands in the wall. So, yeah. So Big John gets up, after beating these guys up, and he goes back to the bar, and he says, get me a beer, and go get them an ambulance. Now, nobody died in that story. So what's haunting the place? The bullet hole. It's still here. So it has paranormal activity because this was his place. Now, people that sit in the front of the bar up in this way, where allegedly the bullet hole is, and granted they're renovating it up, it's still there. They've been working on this for almost a year now. The bullet hole, if you sit up in the front, you can get dizzy, queasy, nauseous, headaches, just simple little things.
It says Harper.
It's the last name. I have to look at the list.
Okay, perfect.
So, and I keep like all of the tabs of like my slides. I bring this story up on purpose because I don't know how paranormal activity is going to affect me. If you feel any of the symptoms that I mentioned, please let me know. We will move on.
He gets affected the most.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, for sure.
He gets like he almost dropped at the last time.
I've had people drop.
Yeah.
Was that? How did you do at Queen Mary?
It was fine. I felt quite nauseous sometimes.
Well, remember in St.
when we were
Augustine?
in St. Augustine, I felt nauseous, I had a headache.
And he almost passed out. Like I had to like carry him back to the hotel.
Okay.
But it's because we had a lot of stuff happen on that tour.
Sure.
So it was kind of
St.
it
Augustine
was
is
crazy.
Pretty rough stuff too. Just so you guys know, I do have like psychic stones that have been blessed and all of that stuff with me to help keep the paranormal activity grounded.
Okay.
I was starting to take things home with me that people were bringing.
Oh.
So it was kind of like, I have epilepsy. I'm the weak-minded one of
Yeah.
any group I go to. So like me getting in the car and I can't drive for 30 minutes, it's not good.
No.
So I called up some psychic friends of mine, told them what was going on, and they all sent me stones of some sort. And I still re-bless them every 6 months with fresh salt water. Obviously we live by the ocean, so it's easy to do. But I carry all that stuff, and I literally have not had a problem since.
Yeah.
So I haven't had any guests pass out either since.
I usually carry amethyst.
Yeah, it's another good grounding one too. Just so we're not worried about our own health, there's another story with this building. You guys know about our big earthquake in 1886, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So this allegedly, and I say that lightly only because I don't have proof, is where the first death occurred from that earthquake. A piece of the mantle that's above your heads also wraps around the front of the building. A piece of it broke off, struck somebody in the head, and killed them.
Oh my gosh. Talk about luck.
Independent.
Wait.
Didn't it knock down the prison or something like that?
Yeah. When we did the prison tour.
Yeah.
It affected a lot of this part of the planet. So, you guys, questions, comments? Is this what you guys thought you were getting yourselves into?
Frozen.
It's not cold out here. Let's head out this way.
All right. I am cold.
I'm not cold.
You want my coat?
Remember earlier
Do you believe this stuff?
Yeah.
I do some of it, but not all of it.
Well, some of it is like, you
Like
know,
a prison.
campfire stories.
A prison.
But I wasn't a believer until that house.
Queen Mary?
No, I had my first house. There was a ghost
Oh,
in there.
yeah. You told me about that.
Looked like a normal person. I told my roommate, I said, there's some weird dude down by your room. Who is this guy? Because he didn't say hi back to me. He's like, I didn't invite anybody over. There's some guy down there. He's giving me a dirty look.
Sounds like Chinese food.
I think they're just passing through. All right, so welcome to the Big Red Barn Lot.
Okay.
Again, this isn't necessarily a sightseeing tour. It's all about where the history and the haunted locations are. Do you have something already? Nice.
Oh,
So-
wow. Oh,
Oh,
wow.
yeah.
So sometimes I will tell you, it starts when we come in. Sometimes it waits till we leave. There's no pattern, rhyme, or reason to what happens in this lot.
Yeah, it's over there. Is there anything over there, Mark?
Well, literally, it would be right here.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Oh,
Like
I see.
that's
Oh.
how
Right here.
close it would have to be.
Oh.
Good.
That, Mark?
Be close to you then. No.
So- This particular barn is where we keep your horses for your carriage rides. You can probably smell them even through your masks. Okay, so none of us have lasers. We don't have to worry about that. I kept those in the bag. So I don't have to give that disclaimer. Lasers are always fun, but they get Nick in a lot of trouble. So I try to save those for daytime, or like weekday tours. But anyway, so the only history I have here, guys, is that this is the same barn where they kept horses that delivered milk to Charleston. So we're talking 1860s to 1920s. And that's a guesstimate because there's really no history of it. I mean, it's just like, hey, this is where, that's how long it's been here. They used to deliver milk. That's all I've ever found. I dug and dug and dug and dug and dug. You can imagine as a writer, I dig. And dig and dig and dig. So this is an interesting place because it's a good place for everybody to practice. Obviously, we've seen what the EMF meter can do, or we're going to go straight to spirit boxes because there's two of you that have them. So let's talk about how to use spirit boxes. This isn't TV. This isn't, is somebody here? First off, if somebody says no, that means somebody's here.
Yeah.
Okay? So if somebody says, if a real estate commercial comes through, and okay, this is especially for you because you're the one with the radio. Okay, so if a real estate commercial comes through and the word houses comes up, you think you heard the word yes. So yes and no, we're going to stay away from yes and no questions altogether.
Okay.
Just because S and O in the phonetic English language are two of the most common sounds we have. So we're going to stay away from that. We're going to try to go after definitive answers. So somebody tell me what color the barn is.
Red.
Red. Okay, we all agree it's red. Okay, so we're going to start off with simple questions that we know the answers to. What color is the barn? You're going to wait 30 seconds after listening to your spirit box, and your spirit box in particular will spook those horses. You're going to keep it to an audible level to you, maybe the next person around you. We're not going to get too loud because they will start kicking, and if you guys wanted that jump scare, there it is.
Yeah.
So, what color is the barn? You're going to wait 30 seconds. If you don't get an answer, you're going to keep going with the same question. You're going to try 2, 3, maybe 4 tries. If they're still not giving you the color red as an answer, we're going to open it up a little bit. What's inside the barn? Now, whenever I tell you guys stories or history of a location, I emphasize certain words. History here is milk delivery. They're draft horses, animals. I've gotten the word dirt before here. Anything that relates to horses, pulling carriages, or delivering milk, I'm going to take. So again, it's literally opening them up and trying to put those clues in. So you got to be a very attentive listener. Now the cool thing is if Milky misses stuff tonight and he doesn't hear anything, it's okay. I got the recording.
Yeah.
You're going to get the recording back, and I'm going to give you probably 8 to 12 markers of things that I've heard that might be relevant. It might not be a direct answer like the color red. Now, for example, I'll be honest with you. My last tour I took, we both got very excited, and because I was hanging out with that person with the spirit box, and what color is the barn? Red. We're like, okay, perfect. We moved on to the next question. When I listened to it the next morning, it was the word God.
Oh.
You see how relevant, like how close you can miss it? So, and I'm honest about it. I thought I told him, like, hey, look at this. You know, in his analysis, we thought we heard red. It was really the word God.
Can you hear that?
No, he's got it on mute.
Oh, he does. Okay.
So, I am going to work with Dad specifically. Rebuild. Oh, nice. That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a very good one. I'm going to work with you specifically. So why don't the 3 of you find a hot spot? We're going to stay within the confines of the lot, but I am going to work with you just to give you a little bit more of what to look for.
Can you turn it up just so you know?
Yeah, so you guys are going to have to turn up your spirit box.
I see these little artifacts, these white things, kind of like, what's that all about?
So those are going to be the lights in the back.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so one of the things that I tell folks is you want to try to keep a person in view at all times. So you and I are going to run an experiment along this wall.
All right.
I will tell you, people get funny about us filming cars too, so then the first 2 locations are kind of iffy. So go ahead and point your camera right at the wall and let's see what you got. Mainly one color.
Yeah.
Right? So hold it there. Watch what happens when you put a higher temperature in there. You see how the wall changed color?
Yeah.
Okay, so you want to try to keep, because our skin is going to be the warmest thing out here. Okay, our skin is going to be about 98 degrees. Okay. I do have different temperature, like different thermometers to kind of debunk things.
Okay.
But really, it helps us see those blue and black spots move even better. So when you have an array of color, it's easier to see what's moving and what's not.
Okay.
So thermodynamics in reverse. I love your hat, by the way. That's the style I normally wear. I just haven't had the stories hats made yet. Now with thermodynamics, you can also see it in reverse.
Okay.
The cool thing about that is that means temperature has to balance, right?
Yeah.
So if it's cold here, that means it's warmer somewhere else.
So just out here, it just puts a wash, and so the the range isn't good enough? Is that what you're saying?
I mean, you still have blues, you still have yellows, like that's good, but to really get a full, spectrum of like what people are doing or like things that might be around you that you can't normally see, it's better to have a big variance. So 98 degrees versus the 67 degree ground is going to be a big difference, right?
I see.
It's like 30 degrees. So
does this thing have it's automatically kind of compensating to
right.
keep everything within a range?
Right. So whenever there's something like to each color is a 5-degree variant.
Got
so
it.
to go from blue to dark blue, there's a 5-degree difference.
Okay.
To go from dark blue to black, there's another 5-degree difference. So from the light blue to the black, there's 10 degrees.
Got it.
Thermodynamics in reverse means that if something is generating a cold spot, as far as paranormal, that means that something has to get warmer somewhere else.
Yeah.
So at times, we will catch things getting warmer. So if you hold that still, for example, and in front of you, you see the ground is getting warmer by 5, 10, 15 degrees in a very short time span, like 5 to 8 seconds.
Okay.
That means there's something colder being generated nearby.
Okay.
I don't want you to find the cold spot. I want you to focus on the thermodynamics in reverse.
Okay.
So if you find it.
So when it draws, how big of an area does it draw from?
I've seen it as big as maybe a 3 to 4 foot, circular area.
Okay.
I will show you a quick video of actual evidence that we caught with that camera. Sorry, I normally have it. Just to give you a better gist of what you're actually going to be seeing if, in the event, you capture something. Sorry, I do a lot of social media. Got to keep the business moving. There we go. So this is the next spot we're going to. This orange is a wall. Do you see the 2 living people, the orange spots that pass by?
Yeah.
So I'm playing again. There's 2 heads right above it.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to fast forward and find the 2 dead spots going the exact opposite way.
Oh, yeah. Weird.
Do you see how there is somebody in view at all times?
Uh-huh.
So that's why I want that fluctuation.
Got it.
I don't know what the exact temperature was on there because the crosshairs wasn't on that particular pinpoint.
Okay.
But I've sent it over to mechanics, firemen, all kinds of people. Like, dude, tell me what you see here. And they're like, yeah, you got some ghosts walking by.
Yeah.
Because if you do it frame by frame, it's literally like a head.
So that anomaly was just, you had to have the subject within the...
Right, exactly.
Okay. I've seen these things marketed anywhere from $200 to $1,000. Does it matter when you get those?
I went with FLIR just because it's obviously a mechanical tool that people would trust, and FLIR makes a pretty extensive line. Now, they do make little handhelds where I wouldn't have to attach it to a phone and all that, and I tried to attach that to a tablet.
Yeah.
The tablet, the technology in any tablet just doesn't seem to match up with what's inside of a cell phone.
Yeah.
So I got to keep it small. And I guess the flow of it is very wonky. So when you put it in a tablet, you have to add another adapter to it just to make it, and it's like, it's already kind of a weird thing to look at. So when you're looking at it and it's real jerky, I was like, yeah, this isn't going to work. I've tested many units. But, I mean, I think that particular one I dropped like 200.
Yeah.
Just for the attachment. It came with the battery pack that's glued to the back of the phone.
Yeah. That's cool.
Now, the camera itself is only meant to last an hour, which is why I just put this right on the back of it. I glued it on there, and it just keeps it charged. Because if I do 2 tours a night, that's 3 hours of time that I need it to stay charged.
Will you please speak with us and tell us what is in this
This
parking
is
lot?
really cool.
What's in this parking lot?
Now, I don't get a ton of evidence from that, but when I do, it's super cool.
Yeah.
And you have to remember, like, I'm out here twice a night some most
So
weeks.
you know what to see or what not to
Yeah.
see.
And what I do with that is I send it over to YouTube, and then I send it back to my website. So that way all of your data is in the same spot.
Cool.
And if you want to download the YouTube video for yourself, you can. All the MP3 stuff you can download. The word list, all that stuff will stay on my website forever.
Cool.
So as long as I'm in business, it'll stay up there. So how we doing? We all got the gist? Did we hear anything?
Well, we heard a lot of stuff.
We
but
heard horses.
It didn't.
Yeah, I've heard horses, but
Nice.
I don't know.
I don't really know if it was horses. It could have
Because
been.
we asked,
Okay.
we asked what color.
It's good. You should question it.
Yeah.
I want you to question it.
Yeah.
So at least in this time frame, like again, I won't be able to hear what your questions were because it doesn't record outside noise, but I know the time frame.
Yeah.
So I look at my audio, and that's kind of my barometer of like, oh, okay, this happened at this time. You guys say you heard something where I wasn't around to verify it, then I'm going to go back and verify it with headphones in the morning.
Okay.
Could
So-
you link the audio for this one? To
I
those
could.
things too?
So I've tried that. One guest asked me if I could
I'm gonna
put
ask it what
that
General.
particular audio underneath the video with everything being heard, and it gets really muddy for somebody that doesn't know what they're listening for.
Okay.
So it's cool.
Yeah.
I can do it. I do it
too
for my own
much.
investigations,
Okay.
but it's not worth the time to try to teach somebody what you know what I mean.
Every time.
Let's go learn some real history. What do you say?
Yeah.
Instead of playing with the pony.
Thank you. They were starting to.
Starting to ruffle up in
Yeah, I
there.
think so. Cyan?
Isn't that called cyan?
Oh. Is that what it was?
I wonder what's going on up there.
The bar?
I still don't know the name of that.
I can't remember what
I
it's
walk
called.
by it every night, and I never look. Because I don't drink. So I don't
Yeah, I
go
don't
out.
either.
I don't go out to eat. I don't drink.
Yeah.
Like, this is what I do.
Yeah.
If I'm not doing this with you guys, I'm not doing it with myself.
They don't watch movies out there near. They drink and get drunk. You're looking at outdoor lecture.
Alright, so another beautiful site of Charleston. Another parking lot. However, this one actually holds quite a
Somebody
bit.
right here.
Wow. That's cool. Good. Good. And it's gonna be various.
Is that beeping?
Something was beeping.
I know, I heard it going.
Yeah. Oh, I think
I
it's
think
the
it was a
golf.
golf cart.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was like, what?
Road rage in the golf cart.
Yeah.
So, okay,
Drink
Mike.
another one.
I know, right? So this site used to be home to Eliza and Charles Pinckney.
Oh, picnics. Yeah.
So, who the hell were they? They had a son named Charles. They had a nephew named Charles. They were signers of the Constitution.
Yep.
I hate politics. We just
You
got
got
out of an
no.
election year. So,
But no.
to see the whole list, by the way, there's a calendar just to the right of the word. Yep.
Place full stations rebuilt now frozen independence center.
Never hit clear. You can always go back to it.
Thank you.
So let's talk about Eliza. Eliza's way cooler than our signers, I think anyway. So Eliza got married to Charles at a very young age. Hopefully you guys, and this is a place where I'm not going to give you the answers like red and horses. You guys are going to have to find what the answers are through your spirit boxes.
Okay.
So Eliza got married at a young age to Charles because Dad thought he was dying over in England, which is where she was originally from. She didn't want to go home, so she got hitched. It didn't give her citizenship, but it pretty much planted her right here in the United States. We're talking colonial times. So, being married in the United States did not pretty much justify what we have today. So, at any rate, Dad gets better. Eliza was right. Dad starts sending over gifts from England to Eliza. One of those gifts happens to be the plant indigo. Now, the layout of the land we're standing on, the mansion was in the front. Eliza's garden was a lot of it was over there, but it also outstretched all the way across, kind of like where the top of the opening is. And we're standing where the servant quarters were there.
Oh.
Okay, so, and she was very kind to her servants, by the way. There's not a whole lot of history there, not even names that I can find. A few here and there, but not many. But with that said, Eliza used her servants and slaves that were part of the Gullah culture, because indigo was already here. She was just an experimentalist to be able to play with this. So she used her slaves on how to cultivate it under very weird temperatures. These Gullah folks, they came from Africa. It's hot there most of the time. So they already knew how to keep this plant going. So she used her dad's contacts overseas to turn this into a huge cash crop for us. Our rice plantations were kind of iffy at that time. So the indigo plants was turning into a big thing. It's a dye that we use that makes our blue jeans blue. Sorry, I forgot we have a kid with us.
He knows what it is.
Okay, cool. So, with that said, they picked up the cash crop and they moved it over to Snee Farm over in Mount Pleasant, and that's where you can also find the Charles Pinckney Historical Site, so you can learn a lot more about Charles if you wanted to. Now, a couple weird facts about Eliza, and I'm just touching the tip of the iceberg of things that Eliza's done. So I'm going to give you some questions of things that you can ask that maybe you can find out more about her and address her directly. Hey, Eliza, tell us this. So, obviously, you can ask what age she was when she got married. You can ask anything you want to about her death. How old she was, where did she die from, where is she buried, and where did she die, not to mention which U.S. president was a pallbearer at her funeral. So she did have a president take her to her grave. Pretty big honor, especially back in colonial times. You can ask how many kids she had, you You can ask what her one daughter's name was. Try to stay away from the sons. There's a tragedy in there she doesn't like to talk about where my paranormal activity will stop. You start poking around with that, we will have a dead night the rest of the night.
Okay. So don't ask that, okay?
You can ask what happened to the mansion. That's a good one too.
Okay.
I also want to point out
Burned
that
down and made a parking lot.
yeah, right. Well, it's been many things since then, obviously. She's noticed a light blinking at the back of the Five Church restaurant over there. So that's kind of my barometer of how much activity we're going to have, because that is a weak light. It's not always blinking. Sometimes it's just on. Sometimes it's blinking like a disco ball. But it normally will go in sync with the EMF meter. So this will have a surge, and then that will have a surge. So if you actually hold it up like you're going to take a picture with it, you can actually see a surge there, then a surge there a split second later.
What's the church?
That's Five Church Restaurant, yeah.
It's like, wow, you can see the, just hold it up and see it sing.
So I've videotaped it several times. I went frame by frame. It's usually within 2 to 3 frames that the surge will happen here than there.
Wow.
It's an interesting little tidbit just to try out. It's another experiment.
yeah.
Wow.
Somebody said.
That is, no,
That's crazy.
something.
Who knocked that sign?
Wait, hold on, let me
There
turn
you go.
around.
Turn that spirit box up.
Who knocked that sign?
Please. Somebody knocked that sign.
Who knocked that sign?
Are you getting anybody?
No.
Eliza, will you
I
please speak to
got
us?
somebody here.
That was weird.
Who knocked that sign? Mark, get the...
Are you finding anything?
No.
Look at your atmosphere. Yeah, that's insane.
You can see the zip tie hanging.
All right.
And it doesn't look like it would be heavy. It looks
And
too
it's not
heavy.
windy.
No.
For it to be rippling.
Way too.
Eliza, several, normal. Eliza, when were you married? How old were you?
Okay, somebody's here.
Well,
Eliza,
you're
how
still
many
relatively
daughters
close to a big pile of
did you have?
wires. So I'm going to kind of...
Did you have 3? 4. Okay.
4 kids total.
How many?
Like 3 daughters?
1 daughter.
Oh, 1 daughter. Okay. Yeah.
I don't know what to ask about.
No, don't. I thought I heard 3.
Where's the mansion?
I think you could kind of turn it up a little louder.
Yeah, and they're not necessarily in the box either. Like, they're listening to us.
Where is the mansion?
How did you die? Eliza, how did you die? Eliza, what was your favorite plant?
Oh, look, there's a, you can see the, you know, the people that
roses, yeah. Eliza, who was your pallbearer at your funeral?
So keep in mind, too, whenever we're asking questions, the answers can go anywhere. So even, like, normally, if I have a full group of 10, which, by the way, that's the highest I go over. I won't go over 10. But if I ask a question, I'm kind of far away from folks, and he turns around and says, "It said blue brick."
That's still
I
flashing.
asked Eliza what her favorite thing in the world was. I don't know that that's true, but
Where are you?
the blue brick can go anywhere. The audio on his camera, my audio on the regular,
Okay.
yours, like,
Okay, so we can just walk around and
Yeah.
okay.
It's kind of
I
flat.
guess, I mean, I figure with just a private group like this,
Yeah,
we can all stick together,
yeah.
especially since I'm not using any separate.
I can just talk and ask and it might. Eliza, who hit us? Favorite things to do?
We're asking him that. Elijah, can you answer this question? Can you tell me who is flashing that light?
Logic. was your dad when he died? How old was he?
I don't know.
Oh.
I've never had anybody ask me. As I said, that's a good question. It's something I can
Like
definitely
70.
Where am I standing?
That could also be the year.
Yeah, that's true.
But you said something about 70.
Yeah. I heard 70. Oh, when you asked when did your dad die, but that's awfully old.
Actually, Eliza died. Don't forget, you heard 70.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
relevant.
Wow.
Where am I standing?
The garden would have been right over here.
Eliza, what did you plant in your garden?
I heard mess.
Yeah, I heard mess.
That's all I heard was mess.
Was there any indigo plants at the plantation?
Yeah,
I don't remember any.
at Milton, there was
Middleton's had
Middleton.
it?
Somebody's cooking fish.
Chinese or something.
Smells like catfish.
Let's see. What else could we ask?
Who's making that?
What was the favorite?
That light flicker. What was your favorite? That was weird.
What was it saying?
On the boys, the pixie boys. Mom, you're not supposed to talk about that. You're not supposed to talk about that.
I just try to stay away from it.
Yeah, it's probably.
Sorry, Eliza. No disrespect to you.
I heard.
Don't get me wrong, some of them have come through.
Really?
I heard.
Charles?
Me.
Me.
Yeah. Me.
That was so strange. The sign
That is.
doing that.
It,
That was a weird.
I mean,
That
the
was
wind
a
is
good
moving
one.
it now.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it like
Yeah.
fell.
It must have
It was
And-
knocked. Yeah.
I think Dad had the camera pointed that way too.
I hope
So
you did.
Please.
that would be
Did you get
really
anything over there?
cool. Oh, I also forgot to tell you that Eliza was the
No.
second wife named
You want me to
Eliza.
hold the bottle?
So her and the first
Sure.
wife went by Eliza blank
Okay.
Pinckney, so they used their maiden names
Oh.
to
Okay.
not be confused.
Oh.
I know, very interesting. Right?
Yeah. Okay.
I'm going to a car and ask for it.
You can ask anywhere; they'll respond.
What
Penelope.
color is this car?
Yeah, that's not a name affiliated with the family.
Okay. Just an oddity then.
Yeah, that's part of 80% BS.
Yeah.
What color is this car?
Yeah, that thing.
No, you're supposed to ask about her.
That's why I'm hoping
I'm just on this
he's just not hearing what they're trying to tell him.
Is anything there?
No.
Well, maybe a lot of slaves died over here.
I've had things come through with, like, what slave jobs would have been. Like cook,
Oh, yeah.
laundry,
Laundry.
terms like that that would pop up.
Oh,
But I can't prove it.
No.
That's the only problem.
You a jokester? You scared?
Emma? No?
So what I will tell you about this lot is they've never done an archaeological dig here. For us to never, like, we'll never know because they're about to put a commercial hotel here.
Really?
It's supposed to have already been here. Yeah,
Mine's
the
like
layout
eight
of it is
or
horrible.
one
Like,
day.
it's very, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not Charleston. It's just not. It's very, very bland.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Just an eyesore and
Yeah. Well, the wife and I actually had a thought, because we do want to open a Stories in the Cemetery store to sell equipment and books and have a haunted hotel upstairs.
Yeah, that would be
And I said,
cool.
what if we actually made a building that looked like the old Pinckney Mansion?
Yeah.
And that was our bed and breakfast and the shop downstairs. And I could sell tour tickets out of it.
That would be
Oh, that'd
cool.
be good.
And that would be obviously the dedication to you know, the Pinckney house. I just don't know how the city would feel about me honoring Eliza Pinckney with doing ghost hunting tours.
Oh, there's somebody here.
There's definitely something going on.
Yeah, it keeps going off.
I mean, she's been all over the place since we walked in here. But yeah, that was kind of our... We have a couple buildings we're looking at for the store. But I just came up with that idea last week, and she's like, I love it. I just don't know how many millions it's going to cost us.
That depends on where you make it, build it to.
I would put it right here.
So I know.
I would buy the land and just put it right here. Why wouldn't I?
Yeah.
I mean, it's where it used to be.
It's not really being used for anything right now.
Well, the parking lot company, they're actually in California. I looked them up.
Okay.
They have another lot, which is right next to where we started by Big John's. They have 2 down here. And they charge an arm and a leg for you to park here. You guys hearing anything out of there?
We asked what the favorite color was, and he heard pink, I heard blue.
Okay. I normally get purple.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah.
The blue is obviously an indication for the indigo.
Yeah.
Because I get that over here a lot too. And keep in mind too, like, they need time and to muster up the energy to answer them.
Yeah.
I've gotten like answers to questions here at the end of the tour 45 minutes from now.
So we're probably asking way too many questions, like
Well,
rapid
you're
fire.
asking pretty quick.
Yeah.
And it's a matter of you're not asking the same question, like
Right.
continuously.
Over and over.
Over
Okay.
and over again.
So that's our mistake.
And it's
Sorry,
okay.
Eliza.
But at the same time, you did ask a lot, so that's a good sign that we might hear something later as we keep going.
Okay.
And even when his spirit box is on mute and we're just walking, just chatting, we're
They
still
might
gonna-
hear something.
Right, they
yeah.
might pick something up.
Okay.
I did see earlier over there a shadow figure.
That's funny because that's exactly where the video was that I showed you, and the reason why they called me up there on that particular tour, I did catch an actual ghost walking through.
You see shadow figures all the time.
Is that the one that had the
IHOP.
two?
Yep.
Right
That is
It was
crazy.
up in that corner. You could see the lamppost.
Oh,
Yeah.
So
Is
with
that the front entrance there?
the front entrance is
Oh,
right
right there.
here.
Okay, the
And
lamppost in the
this
corner.
used to be a restaurant called Molly Darcy's. This was the last building that was here. And of course there was a story there that somebody saw somebody in a blue dress.
Oh.
But it was Eliza's aunt based on the time period of the dress. But again, speculation.
Yeah.
There's no proof of it.
Yeah.
So again, I don't like to elaborate on the stories that I can't prove.
Right.
But
Okay.
but yeah, they called me up there because somebody saw a shadow person, and I was like, let me go up there and try to debunk things first. Make this a realistic experience. I go up there. Maybe you saw something because there is a glass lamppost above the gate there.
Yeah.
I was like, maybe you saw a light reflection or something. And I looked at the video the next morning. Boom, 2 ghosts walking by.
Wow.
So should we go over there and ask?
You can if you want.
Yeah.
Let's just stay away from the vehicles.
Watch out for the drunkards.
For the holes in the street.
Yeah. That looks like a church right there on the right.
Yeah, church with the restaurant.
There's nothing around here.
Actual.
No,
Okay.
this was from Molly Darcy's.
That's crazy. Sorry.
There you go. So,
Who walked past here? Oops, right here.
not a big deal. So this is the video I showed him. This is obviously the wall right here. And there's 2 living people right there. There's going to be 2 details right above the wall. So they're going to be walking by. Okay, so they're living. This is right here. And then there's going to be 2 dead people that walk past one over there.
Seeing anything?
anything?
No.
Actually use this as their job.
No, you're not popular with the dead.
If the car is too far away, because it'd be on the other side of the street.
Maybe that's a
Right
good
in there. Yeah, it's right there.
Wow.
So,
What are the names of the spirits that are walking down the street? Who are we watching walk down the street? Yeah, it's been on the house for a while. Nicholas.
that's not uncommon for my name to show up here.
Really? So Nicholas, you're talking to you. Whoa.
No, they're saying hello to me.
Oh yeah, Nicholas, yes.
It happens
didn't
all the
register.
time. It's okay. And it's spelled properly, which is
That's crazy.
actually has the H in it. Most people miss the H.
Well, you're quite nice spirit to say hello.
They do it often. And a lot of times they'll go through there. I'll get a hello Nick, or hey Nick, or hi Nick, or something along those lines.
I heard welcome to YouTube.
So there's plenty of Nicholases that are along the tails that we are, but this specific location, my name shows up often. I trade a
great.
lot of respect.
Yeah. They have to.
Alright, so you guys want to know some answers before we move on?
Yes.
Alright, so Eliza Lucas Pinckney was the one that planted the indigo. So,
Okay.
And then Eliza Lamb Pinckney is the one
Okay.
that was the first one. Eliza Lucas died at the age of 70, as we already guessed. And she died in Philadelphia from breast cancer that we know of. Again, colonial times, a little hard to tell and confirm breast cancer, but based on the symptoms that they could read from the reports, they're going with breast cancer. That was in Philadelphia, and that's also where she's buried. So, also keep in mind, people ask me all the time, how many cemeteries are we going to? Or if you're dead, are you going to hang out where you're buried? Probably not. So, this is the reason why, because Eliza's buried in Philadelphia, and she's haunting this place here.
Yeah.
So, Eliza's daughter was named Harriet, and the reason why I say it was her son, she didn't have an infant son at that. She did name him after her father, George, which that name comes up here often. But the other significant thing with George is it was George Washington who was the pallbearer at her funeral.
Oh wow.
George Washington, if you don't already know, spent a lot of time in Charleston.
Yeah.
He had 13 colonies during that time, and he spent a lot of time with his governors. And guess what Charles Pinckney's job was? He was governor. So Eliza knew him well, and he was obviously very thankful for all of the things that she did for, like, you know, her indigo saved the colonies. You know, so that was a pretty big deal. The mansion caught fire in 1861 from the Great Fire then. That would have been long after both Eliza and Charles' time, but I do get burning, candles, flame, all kinds of terms when you get those kinds of questions out there asked about it. And that actually happened on the opposite corner. We're standing in what would have been their carriage house. So they probably had their own horse and carriage. And they had a garage, so to speak. This is where we're standing right now. So,
Those are the original lampposts?
no.
This was to the restaurant.
This was all to the restaurant.
Right.
None of this is original to Pinckney's. So hopefully one day when I come across $20 million, I can build up
your
another Pinckney
Pinckney.
mansion site and make it a ghost hunting shop. So
Employee. You'll have several employees.
did it say employee?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a
Maybe it's
couple.
Penelope, and I haven't met her yet. They're telling me my future. So
I mean, there's a couple of you right there.
There's a lot.
A couple people right there.
Yeah.
They're
Right there.
employees.
Yeah.
if it says smoking, then we know that they're actually just watching. We're going to walk up 4 blocks up East Bay Street.
Okay.
Pay no attention to your EMF meter. It's going to go crazy because of the parking meters. So you can pretty much ignore it. Your spirit box, if you want to listen to it along the way, you're listening for names. I'm not going to tell you what names or why, but it's all tied into Lodge Alley. So have you guys ever been to Lodge Alley before? Have you ever been on a tour either?
No,
And a lot of
alleys.
There's a Rachel down here, so I don't know.
I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe.
Well, you'll learn a little bit of history there, and
Okay.
it's an interesting tidbit of what I'm looking for
So
there.
turn this up so you can hear it.
Yeah, you
Because
can
you
listen
might
to it along the
hear
way.
concern.
Please keep filming, Dad, and of
Are you
course,
warm
leave your
enough?
screen open so we
Yeah.
can see all the words that are coming through. But yeah, let's go take a hike.
All right.
Should I just keep it on when we look?
Okay.
Yeah, that's resist.
Oh, somebody's either 15, 19, or 91, or 61.
Somebody shares the same birthday as me.
Well, we got 3 more years to wait, don't we, Mark?
For what?
16.
Oh, yeah?
Driving.
Oh, my youngest daughter turns 15 in July.
Oh, boy.
So not looking forward to that.
We're still here. You're not.
We just get a moped and no people.
That's even worse.
Yeah, those are more dangerous. They don't have enough power.
Remember Rachel getting stuck in the sand?
Yeah,
Remember that?
she still has ligament damage from
Yeah.
that.
Oh, I was going like 40 when I did it.
Oh, we're at the marketplace. Yeah. This one was
Yeah.
I'm wondering how they protected it.
Quite a place.
When I turn 90, take me there.
Okay. Get you a big thing of whiskey.
Oh, good.
Come here, buddy.
Not very cold.
They're playing Jamaican music in an Irish pub.
He said when he walks by there and tries to upload the video, it'll stop it saying you don't have the rights to the song. And he was just walking by or whatever.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's
The
cool.
software stops it. Good.
Yeah. I think this is bacon. There's a pizza. Yeah, the pizza joint's right there.
Yeah.
Interesting. Wow, this is cool.
That goes like Opie and Natalie.
When I was about 11, I made a huge train table with a little town, and I put these buildings with these little lights that look just like this.
Cool.
Pretty cool. like an imaginary village. We go to that train place off of Broadway and caboose hobbies every weekend. Buy trees or little roads.
Really? Where is it now?
It was dismantled, and I donated it to my friend's little brother, and he just didn't care.
Oh.
But I wish I'd kept it.
Yeah. Wow, look at that about all this stuff. Wow. What is it?
What?
Where are these stones from? Huge. Oh, good.
What are we looking at?
What are we looking at here?
Right over here.
She was looking at the hinge.
Yeah.
Oh.
So this is.
Where did
washed
these
out.
rock stones come from?
I'm getting to those. These are
Is it from England?
no. Well, they're clay. They're handmade, hand laid. We're talking 1680, 1690. This is actually one of the first streets in Charleston.
Really?
So we passed up Cumberland Street, which is one block that way, which we're going to go back up Cumberland. That was where the original Charlestown walls are. So the street you're standing on right now, when I say street, people used to live here. Like there were shotgun houses here. So these two buildings obviously weren't here.
Look at up above there.
So those are houses in the front.
Yeah.
Right here? Okay.
But again, you can see that it's wide enough just for a horse and buggy to come. So, shotgun houses that live here. The cool thing is, I don't get a whole lot of activity from that down here. So when I do, it's super exciting.
Oh,
So,
okay, something. Well,
if something comes up,
probably from this.
yep, you got something electronic.
Yeah.
on it.
Yeah.
I have the full list of names of all people that have ever lived down here.
Really?
So when something does pop up on the spirit box,
Use flash.
it's interesting because I get the names Benjamin and John
Okay.
often together, and they were 2 out of 5 people that lived here in 1801. So I don't find that coincidental, especially since it happens often. Kind of like my name showing up at the Pinckney Mansion site. It's not uncanny for that to happen. But there were 4 different Johns that lived down here over the 100-year span that there were residences down here.
Only 4?
Yeah,
I think that's would be more.
but there wasn't many houses down here.
No, that's true. That's true.
So again, with that being said,
Yeah.
it's just kind of a when you can find Benjamin and John, and I have their occupations as well. So if I get an occupation that says like grocer, fisherman, manufacturer, I can look that stuff up and find out who was
Okay.
actually with us.
Shift. Shift supervisor in banking.
Banking would be.
It's going rapidly here. News, precise.
Also keep in mind too, Charlestown, the island, is the peninsula didn't have all this man-made junk back then. So the smell of low tide would have came through here quite often, a couple of times a day. So these people were lower class. I already said shotgun houses, but they confirmed that with some of the archaeological stuff they found between the bricks. So they found some of their silverware and tools and clothing and stuff, and they were able to classify these people as lower class. I mean, they were not slaves. They just were lower class folks. We're going to go up through the rest of this alley, but then we're going to be in a neighborhood. Tour guides are not allowed to be in neighborhoods, so we're going to be 5 frames passing through quietly until we get to our next location. Everybody see?
Who's there?
Manners in a house.
America. Manor, yeah.
America.
America.
Cool one. Look at that.
I don't know if you can see it, but wow. The 3 people I've never seen it. 3 people. Oh, culinary tours.
That's different restaurants.
That is so awesome. I want to do that. These trees. Oh, it's just down here, that tree. Actually. Oh, it's those all the time. Yeah. Yeah, we have a lot of those on there.
This is where the original wall
smells like firewood now.
Yeah.
Say that word. Heart shape. Heart shape.
Art.
Mark. Got to be a history behind that one.
The first Chinese grocery store.
Yeah, that could be it.
It was originally Chink Smart.
You know that storeroom that I had?
Yeah.
Went up to $65.
What?
Yeah.
They just raised your rent on the storage like that?
From 25, and I kept it because, like I told Rachel, that'll be good. So
That's
it took me
ridiculous.
4 hours to take everything out of there. I lugged it out, 4 loads, and put it in the apartment.
In your apartment?
Yep.
Oh my God.
I put the big tubs on the patio, and if they say something, well, oh boy.
We have storage. It's way less than that.
Well, if they say something, Rachel told me.
It's like a 10 by 10. And it's
You're kidding.
$45. And it's
45?
it's temperature controlled. It's right by our place.
Really? Jeez, and I was paying 65 for
That's just,
Two
you know,
by four.
ridiculous.
I know. They've hired another maintenance guy.
So the only cemetery we're going to visit, and it's because of this sign, we're going to be brief so the next door can come up, because they make a big elaborate thing out of this. I think it only goes to the St. Philip's Holocaust. There's a reason for it. 1888, there was a young lady that died by the name of Sue Howard Hardy. She died 10 days after her stillborn child. So, 1987, we have a local photographer in town who's taking pictures of their cemeteries, and he captures a full apparition in the cemetery over her grave, wearing a shawl with a baby basket next to her. We're talking 1987, no Photoshop, no cell phones, no crazy technology for us to try to debunk it in the field, so he has to send it to Kodak. Kodak can't debunk the picture.
Really?
I don't show the picture on my tours, it's cursed. Females that hold it will not feel well, kind of the same symptoms I told you guys about at Big John's.
Yeah.
Females that are pregnant and holding it will not have a good pregnancy. As you can imagine, I'm very superstitious. I'm not going to get a phone call 9 months from now with some girl who had a bad pregnancy. So I don't even bother. I do like to at least show somebody, especially for, you know, an older cemetery, because sometimes people don't see the field or something.
There's nobody here. Look.
Yeah, it's I
dead.
can't bored with pictures like that. But that's about the extent of what actually happens up here. Every once in a while, I'll get the name Sue that comes up. So it just depends on the story. This is like the legends and lore part of your tour. Right
Okay.
now.
We weren't laughing at you. I said, there's nobody here. And he said, yeah, it's dead.
I do that joke
So
all
we
the
can
time.
ask, what is the young lady? Is she buried with her child? She probably doesn't want to answer that.
Yeah.
Probably would be a little disrespectful.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially with all the other tours around. Again, they get pretty jealous of me and what I do. So, because they work for big corporate whatever.
Oh, yeah.
So,
You
we're
guys should do your own. You want to keep
out of
going?
their way. Yeah, we're gonna
We've been here we've been here.
Yeah, we flew the drone right here. Remember?
Yeah, you flew your drone sitting there.
Right here.
Yeah, I
we were
saw
sitting
that.
there.
Rachel showed me. That
The
was really
footage.
cool.
Yeah, I hit this church and I
No,
flew it.
Yeah.
No, drone, yeah.
And then
I spliced
downtown,
the videos together.
the,
It was really
the
cool.
ocean front.
Yeah, and then I flew it all the way down to the
I mean, he flew it all the way to the water,
saw it.
over the water by the bridge.
Yeah, I saw it.
Honey, there's teaching. Oh, they're teaching over there.
That is interesting. So, on the other side of me, on this side, there's another side to that cemetery.
Okay.
So, there's obviously an east side and a west side, but this is the west side. The west side is for everybody else that's not a native Charlestown. So,
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. On the other side is where all the natives go. Now, John Calhoun, if you're a history buff, is buried on this
Oh,
side.
yeah.
Ah.
Are they ever going to take up find what the secrets are in the box?
They did that the other day.
Yeah, they think they
Yes.
found it.
Did they?
They did find it, and they opened it yesterday.
Oh, they did in the
But
little
they won't-
contents?
they
Yeah.
won't
The tin
tell you.
boxes?
There was the tin boxes that they are soldered shut, like soldered shut, so they have to pry them open carefully.
Yeah.
There's supposed to be a piece of, obviously, Calhoun's hair is in there.
Yep.
The cannonball was
yeah.
a lot smaller than what they expected, and it was almost eroded, like it was used. So there was a lot of extra pieces to it. I actually stopped everything I was doing yesterday to watch that box being open.
That's
Wasn't
exciting.
there something like, it was a newspaper from the day he died or something like that?
So there was supposed to be some documents in there. Nobody really knows what the documents are, and there is a tube there. Like it's a flattened tube, like a picture of a round tube that somebody just smashed down, so it's flat. But it is rounded on the corner still. So they're going to be able to pry it open. They said they can probably deteriorate some of the metal just to get in there. So I was very close with this whole Calhoun thing, only because, are you guys familiar with The Secret? Have you ever heard of it? It's a
The
treasure
Secret,
hunt.
the book?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The one that's based on a treasure hunt?
No.
Okay. There was a book written in 1982 called The Secret,
Yeah.
where there was 12 treasures buried in 12 different cities. There's a painting and a poem verse that matches up. You have to figure out which two match up, and then it'll direct you to a treasure. Mind you, this was 1982. That's 39 years ago. There's one here in Charleston.
Really?
Yes. So I have been in cahoots with the powers that be here in Charleston to have permission to dig.
That's so cool.
I've already dug, and my location, based on my solving, came up with nothing. But the ground here shifts so much. I now have a GPR guy coming down in a couple of weeks, where we're going to GPR the ground.
That is cool.
So of course I'll make a tour out of it to show how I did it. There are hundreds of thousands of people looking for these buried
It
treasures.
says near.
Oh, maybe it's nearby.
Yeah.
And I'm lying.
It's in the wall.
So I actually had to sign contracts to not discuss my puzzle solve, but I will tell you that the Calhoun Monument was part of it.
That's so neat.
So I've been
That's
watching
so
that
cool.
thing so close.
Well, you'll have to let us know when you can talk about it.
Yeah.
Oh, trust me, you'll hear it all over the news.
That's so cool.
Like I've already got them waiting.
How neat is that?
Yeah, very cool stuff.
How
Lots
fun.
of stories happen here. Again, this is kind of your legends and lore. So I point out, because history buffs need to know where Calhoun's buried and why he's buried there, because he's moved 3 times. They didn't know if he was from here or not, so threw him on this side. So Charles Pinckney is buried on the other side because he's from here. So there's a lot of stories. So the building we passed up over there, that corner building, the brick one,
Yeah.
that used to be called Bocce's Restaurant. Nothing stays closed in there as far as doors, windows, anything like that. Mirrors like to fall off the walls. It is empty now. That is one of the buildings I'm looking at to become the Stories in a Cemetery store.
That's so cool.
That brick one right there
Yeah.
with the white
It
windows?
actually has 4 apartments upstairs. I will rent out each one with a ghost hunting kit and charge $500 a night.
Like one of those,
Yeah.
the building right there with the wires
This
or
catty
the.
corner.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So
brick.
there's
With the
it
see the
used to
back
be a
of the
restaurant,
stop
so I'll
sign?
have to tear out the
Okay.
kitchen and make it the store. Obviously, my wife will need an office because she will do the photography. She's the one that does all the graphic design work for us.
Integration.
Yeah. Oh, look at that.
There you
But I
go.
will charge $500 a night for a 3-bedroom apartment for one night.
Disagree. They don't like
They
that.
don't like that either.
But you'll
400.
get to play with people.
400.
No, they're saying 1,000.
Up.
So on the other side of the cemetery, we have what we call the Pirate House. We can't go up there because somebody lives there. I already told you about residential areas and tour guides. You can't see it from here, but it does when you are walking the streets and during
I
the
think I've
daytime.
seen it,
It's got
yeah.
a big anchor on the front.
Yes.
Okay, you can't miss it.
We've seen that.
Now,
Yeah.
that is where Blackbeard's men allegedly came in off their ships, and Blackbeard would stay on the ships, and these guys would come up here to have a drink, meet with a few girls, and then they dug a tunnel underneath Pirate House all the way 1 block over to Dock Street Theater.
Huh.
Now, that is true because we just filled it in back in the 1990s. Okay? There was rumor that Blackbeard's treasure was there. Assume. Love it. There was an assumption that Blackbeard's treasure was there. We all know it's in North Carolina, so don't bother. So all of those buildings tie together. The big church and obviously the Dock Street Theater is where the story comes from. That somebody gets struck by lightning. What happened there, if you didn't already hear this story, Nettie Dickerson worked here at the church, and you're nodding your head like, yes, I've heard this a million times. So,
No, not a million. I read a lot about Charleston.
yeah, so Nettie, obviously, this was, do you know the history of Duxbury Theater and the buildings that it was?
I know that, yeah.
So do you know that Nicholas Trott, his house was there before it was Planters Hotel? Nicholas Trott was the judge, the chief justice, the first one in our colonies, and he was the one who tried and hung Steve Bonnet's pirates.
Oh, wow.
So that's, his house is allegedly next to the powder magazine, but he only rented there for a short time until he moved and bought this place where the Planters Hotel was.
I got dizzy.
Did you?
Yeah. So you want to go way back. So anyway, Nettie Dickerson was a...
Oh, yeah, that's what I was doing too.
What's that?
Oh, when we were standing by the wall, I was getting really dizzy.
That's because we're next to the cemetery.
Yeah.
So Nettie was past the marrying age of 17. Nobody wanted to marry her. She was 25. She's seen all the prostitution going on down at Planters Hotel. She goes down there to get a job with the best red dress. She becomes the best loved girl in the place, but she's still not happy. She comes out to the second story balcony often to think about coming back to the church. The priest sees this. He goes down to try to talk her back into coming back to the church. Storm rolls in, lightning strikes the wrought iron banister, and kills her. Now you can see her goes from the knees up only. Do you know why? It's a no. So,
No, I was trying to remember.
so when we renovated the building in the early 2000s, we raised the first floor ceiling. So she's walking on the floor that she knows.
Thomas.
That's Thomas Pinckney.
Yeah.
So that would have been possibly the gentleman who knocked over our sign.
Yes.
So Thomas likes to come up quite a bit. I learned a lot about Thomas just through this tour, believe it or not, because I get clues and I'm like, what the hell does that mean? Oh, that was Thomas Pinckney's whatever, when he Battle of Camden. You know?
Didn't we go through that?
Powder
Yes.
magazine?
Is that the ammunition place?
The magazine, yeah.
That's where we wanted to take a Noki because of
Yeah.
the guns.
So you said that the ghosts, can you only see because they were excavating? I didn't hear the rest of it.
Oh.
Sorry.
We got a Thomas. That's why, because they raised the first floor ceiling, so she's walking on the floor that she knows. So that's why you can only see her from the knees up. It took a nerd like me, it wasn't me, a nerd like me, to figure that out.
Huh.
We are going to dive into Powder Magazine, so let me give you a quick little bit of history. So the building is obviously in the corner of where the original Charlestown walls were. So it is 3 blocks away from the water, so if it were to get attacked, it has 32-inch thick walls and a roof filled with sand from 1712.
Wow.
So if it were to get attacked, the blast would stay contained, so it wouldn't harm anything else. During that time period of it being built...
Your brothel down the street?
Yep, exactly. And if the word worker comes up, that would make sense for the time period.
Yeah.
Or it could be employee.
Yeah.
That we had earlier.
Yeah.
So the time period of it being built was like 1708 to 1712. In 1709, we had a young lady move into town with her father. Her name was Anne Bonny, or Anne Cormack at the time. So Anne Cormack was an Irish girl who was an illegitimate child from her father's maid. They moved here from Ireland to get away from her father's now ex-wife. He brought the mistress with him. They got married here in town, and Anne Cormack falls in love with some of the pirates that are coming into town. The first one being James Bonny. James Bonny, she gets married. They move down to Jamaica, and James just doesn't turn out to be the husband that she wanted him to be. So she falls in love with another pirate who's on the up and coming. His name is Calico Jack. And the interesting thing is this is the building we're going to investigate only because it's the same time period. This is our oldest government building on the East Coast. So there's a lot of ties here just based on the time period. So Calico Jack has a ship. She wants to be part of the ship. So she has to dress like a guy to be part of the ship. She's allowed to be a female in his quarters only. So, obviously she gets pregnant after a due time. He drops her off in Cuba. Go have the baby, join the ship again later. Right? So, she joins the ship, no baby. Yep, nobody knows what happened to the baby. She comes back as a female. Like, she doesn't care anymore. When she gets back to the ship, Calico Jack invaded another ship and had a bunch of prisoners on board. Well, Anne starts flirting with one of those prisoners. It turns out that person she was flirting with was a female pretending to be a man. Just like her. The two become friends. Anne Bonny and Mary Read are the two duos. So, with all of that, now
So funny. What are
they
the odds?
convinced Mary to join the ship instead of being a prisoner. So now she's part of Calico Jack's crew. Well, they're going to go down there and trade. So, at any rate...
Do you want to head over there?
No, we're good.
Okay.
There's still more story to tell. So, with that said, the obviously the two females are not big drunkards like all the rest of them, and they're trying to keep an eye on all the prisoners downstairs, and the ship gets invaded. So Anne and Mary were the only two battling a British ship.
No way.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Obviously,
Badass.
the ship gets taken. Right?
Obviously, jeez.
And here's the other funny thing. All of those men that were downstairs drunk, they actually get tried and hung by a chief justice that was appointed by England over down in the Jamaican Islands.
Oh, no.
Yeah, his name was Nicholas. Imagine that. Nicholas Law. So, there's another Nicholas. There's three of them. Me and the two judges. Right? The three horsemen. So, where was I? Oh, so everybody gets captured and the pirates get tried and hung, and then Mary and Anne Bonny, it's their turn for a trial, and they reveal to the judge that they are female. And then they plead their bellies, which means they are both pregnant. So they were convicted of piracy, but their trial or their hanging was delayed, obviously, because they were pregnant. Now, Anne Bonny's father, who lives here in Charleston, has money still. He was an attorney over in Ireland. He had a lot saved up because he had a farm towards the McClellanville area, and actually it was more towards Georgetown. But anyway, he bailed her out, and then Mary Read got stuck in jail and died. Now, what we know of Anne Bonny, there's a lot of holes here. This is why I'm doing this investigation, and I just added this back in November. She lived to be the age of 84. Her trial was on November 28, 1720. So the funny thing is I'll never forget that date, because the day that I started doing this was November 28, 2020, the exact 300th anniversary of that particular trial. So, and I did get the number 300 that night on the spirit box. So take that for what it's worth. There's a lot of holes here. A lot of people like to ask what happened to the baby, if she was in love with Mary Read. I have gotten the words calico here. I've gotten Jack. I've gotten James. I've gotten Anne. I've gotten bottle, ship. I've gotten all kinds of things here. It's almost like she just wants to tell us whatever she wants to tell us. Like she was a pretty bold person. So,
Pin, Heaven, Men, Sex, Thomas, German.
German.
German keeps coming up. Yeah, I think that's the second time actually.
So what we're going to do here is we're going to actually stay away, kind of out of their way if we can. These are apartments back here. We're going to turn up your spirit box. You can ask anything you want to, not too loud to interrupt their tour. Again, these folks already don't like me. Some of them are envious, other ones are, we won't get into it. Yeah. We're going to ask as many questions as we possibly can. Dad, you're going to keep filming. We're going to see, this is another place where if I get EMF, it's super great. You're like, there's nothing on, flip it over.
You don't have your glasses on.
But then we're going to check out the front of this place, and then we're going to kind of call it a night, and you guys can ask me a million questions, and I can direct you. Where did you guys end up parking at?
Just right down the street from that building.
Oh.
Where we met.
Where we started?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because what happens from here, I have a garage on this street, so I have to stop to sanitize for the next group.
Gotcha.
So I'll direct you guys where to go from there.
Okay, perfect.
It's really easy.
What about, are we walking?
We can.
Slaves and that's what I'm really interested in now. I'm reading every book I can get on
About what?
So you can ask questions.
Slaves.
when they first come.
What are the names of the pirates that are here?
Antebellum and all that. It's really, really interesting. And then they went to the museum.
Captain says all the time.
And then it shows quite a bit about the slaves.
Right.
But I was surprised they were
So all of the ghosts are here all of the time. What is the name of one that you don't mind sharing?
I'm learning a ton about pirates right now, obviously, because I'm still researching the story. There were more black pirates.
What was your occupation here? You're asking me a
After
question.
the spice, there was slaves on there.
What should we ask for one question over another?
I guess.
We just glorified the way.
How many people are here?
How many spirits are here?
smart. That was the big
Parking
thing.
lot right now.
Educated.
I thought you were taking apart the phone. I'm like, dude, what are you doing?
Oh no, I gotta.
How many spirits?
That glue is on there, man. I promise you.
Nothing?
No?
Add it. Several, it says.
Several. Okay.
That's an answer. We'll take it.
that,
So let's
Add
get
it.
something straight out of Anne.
Garlic, Madeline. Any Madeline?
What's behind this wall right here?
Why are all the pictures parked?
An attic?
Generations of families.
Something
That was weird. That was really weird. It's like generations of families.
Right? Every once in a while, I'll throw a little Metallica for your listening pleasure in your your list of things to listen for.
What's behind this wall?
They do like a vigil. I don't know what it's for.
When you get a chance, go in that building. It is so cool.
This one?
Yeah.
So what I try here, just because I'm still trying to get proof that this door actually exists, and Bonnie, if you're here with us, I need you to put your name through this box with the red light. When you see the red lights, just put your name right through there.
Attic. Be an attic.
I thought you saved my child here before too.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
Whoa.
Whoa, that was weird.
that was pretty cool actually. I'll take it. So I think it was the word save came up there, and then my child came up over there at the same time. Like I was able to sync it.
You gonna ask that question over? Or do you keep doing that?
Yeah, like I wait like 30 seconds or
Gotcha.
so.
It's a 10.
I know, keep saying that.
And Bonnie, if you're here, we want you to put your name on the box with the red light.
Maybe.
Flip-flops.
Maybe somebody in your hospital.
Yeah, again, this is a weird place. If I get stuff here with that, it's great. If not,
Maybe you're in the wrong area. But I guess not at all.
well, again, it's
Anyway,
the building. We're this close to the building, that's why
What's
like even,
behind this wall?
Maybe that's. Oh, they're right there, don't it?
Yep,
You didn't stay there for very long.
he might be there like 5 minutes. We got some good time. We made really good time coming through because you guys showed up early.
Yeah.
So
Is your tour just about ready to start?
I got 45 minutes till I gotta be there.
What's
Good.
behind this wall?
And it, like my garage is right down the road. I clean up in like 5, and then it takes me 5 to get to the starting point.
Did you hear that?
So I'm good. I appreciate you being concerned. You know what those are, right?
Yeah, it keeps the building.
Earthquake bolts.
What's
And
behind
what the funny thing is the crosses that you see on the side of the powder magazine, those are the first earthquake bolts that we had here in Charleston. That was the first building that they did.
That's great. You can see something was here.
Yeah, you could see the outline of something else.
behind this wall?
But this
House.
building has been so many different things.
And how odd is that? Like the shape of that.
I keep hearing Nirvana.
Looking through all the stations. This was probably part of the cemetery, maybe an entrance to the
Yeah. Like a hallway or something.
Yeah. You can see where the mortar is,
Yeah.
you know, especially right here, where it broke away.
What's behind this
But a
wall?
lot of times if you put a memorial on the wall, you can see that it's certain, like if you go to Rag Square, or by Marion Square, basically, you go across the street from there, the cemetery that's back there, I don't know the name of it, but it actually has a lot of just like headstones, like mortar into the wall.
Yeah, like that one has that over there, and
Yeah.
on this one here, on the other side. Yeah, I noticed that too. They were just like all
Yep.
along the
And
wall.
some of them, the last one was in 2019.
Yeah, it was-
Remember that
it was-
was a new one. That's weird.
Yeah, anything out of there?
No.
What is your occupation? You are here. Anything?
She didn't have an occupation while she was here. She was 16 when she left.
Well,
Wait,
your
how
hands
old
will
were
be
you
stiff
when
by
you
the
left?
time you get to drive.
To go on an adventure. Who was your favorite husband?
There you go.
Was you married for only 2 hours?
Actually,
hours,
the funny thing is between James and Calico Jack, Calico Jack offered to pay off the dowry, so that way James would divorce her,
Oh.
and he said no. There was some kind of legality that James. The reason why she left James Bond is because he became a privateer for the British. It basically means he was a spy on his own people. So that's why she, you know, didn't
Yeah,
really,
she didn't want to be.
yeah, she wanted to be the rebel. She wanted the Jack Sparrow kind of mentality.
Can you maybe move something from here?
I said, would I?
Waiting for it to come through and go, like what?
You have to tell it what to move.
Can you move this plant right here? Just walk in there or something.
He's trying.
Do you do this every night?
6 nights a week.
Oh, boy.
What?
Walk the walk in
Yeah. 455.
Save on the deal.
Evidence.
I like it.
455. Do you run into them often?
That's one of the reasons I wanted to not go to this area. I used to see people through Philadelphia Alley,
If you wouldn't mind speaking to us.
and I wouldn't run into anybody. Like, I would run into them doing their portion of Philadelphia
What is your
Alley.
name?
I would just take a spot, they take a spot. But nobody goes down the block and go,
We would love to hear your name. If you could share that with us, we would most appreciate it. Yeah.
it is still getting everything, you know.
What about the guy that killed himself when he lost all the money? Who was that, Rachel?
Oh, there's Joe Palmer right there.
I don't remember. He hung himself as he watched his ship burn
Yeah,
in the
Yeah, that's
harbor.
in the hospital.
that's where, yeah.
Yeah, I used to do that one too. Like I would take everybody down.
Says Paul.
We'd all be looking up.
Says
Like at
throw
the
it all
second story
away.
window.
Throw it
And
all
everybody's
away.
going by going, what the hell are those people looking at?
Yeah.
It said both throw it all away.
You guys have been through the Carter magazine, correct? All right, let's get some film of the front,
Okay.
and then
Okay.
we'll call this a wrap since we're not getting much on history.
What are we doing?
Walking this way, the guys start talking now.
If you take a look at the big crosses, those are historic
I saw this from the inside.
I thought that was part of a church, those crosses there.
Yeah, I did too.
Like it felt like
Just to
They
hold
were
it
pretty
together.
smart about the way the earthquake then back
Yeah.
then.
I thought it was like a religious cross.
Yeah.
It's an X.
the guns or ammunition.
Rachel has a free thing for here anyway. So
Yeah.
if you ever get the chance, not work for the day.
Yeah. I did too. I went in there briefly. I just couldn't read. I don't want to know if it's long or whatnot. Really? Oh yeah, they just belong. I only went in there for good.
Yeah.
The only reason I tie this story to Anne Bonny's because it's the exact same time period. She watched this building go up. So, again, let's try to get some film here for a minute or two. I'll get out of the way, and then we'll kind of wrap this guy up.
Was it creeping there?
I just couldn't breathe. You know, my sarcoidosis in my lungs. I couldn't.
It's just a big room, actually.
Yeah.
And you don't even get to go down in the back.
Yeah.
They don't really let you in there.
Yeah,
So.
they're more showing off the coast.
Yeah.
So,
Sand or
a lot of artillery in there.
Yeah.
So you're in the gun.
We'll
That's
take
the
you in
place to
there.
be.
We got a membership.
Yeah, and they're open during the day. You just hang out there and you just.
Prevail.
Yeah, every time, like, and that was the other reason why I never brought people here is because when I go through it, I'm holding an EMF meter all over. Nothing. I didn't get much coming out of the spirit boxes at the time. Of course, I didn't have that recordable one last time I was in there. But I need to go back in just to see what I can capture.
Yeah.
I revisit places constantly just to see what comes up.
See if you can find any
Yep,
anomalies.
yep. Because it's not like everything's going to happen in one time.
No.
So I need to get back to the old jail. I've done the Provost dungeon twice. That's always cool stuff.
Did you get anything down
Yeah.
there? Really?
Actually, so much so that there's another tour guide that called me. He has a podcast too called Pleasing Terrors. And he's like, do you mind if I feature your investigation on my podcast? Because I have one too. And I was like, I don't care. I was like, just give me a plug for my tours on my podcast. He's like, done.
Nice.
So it's called Pleasing Terrors, and the episode was called Last Breath, and it was all about the history of
Do you think that you
the
can
old,
come
you know,
through
the dungeon, of
this
course.
thing and
So
make it
They
go
had a
to
bunch of rooms blocked off when we went down there for the tour. Were you able to, like, check all the areas
I was
out?
there last February. It was actually about a year ago.
Yeah.
So before the pandemic hit. And I even went back after the tour and I asked the docent downstairs, I was like, do you mind if I just come down and grab a few pictures? I'm a writer. You know, pretend to be a journalist.
Yeah.
You know, and I didn't know I was ghost hunting, but I had all my gear on me in a smaller bag, just all running. But now I have newer stuff that, like, when I go to these places, I did Gettysburg. And I walked into the Jenny Wade house, and that was hanging out of my breast pocket and just kind of hanging out right here. The spirit box was in my pocket. Nobody knew I had it on. The EMF was in my other pocket, so I could check it from time to time.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
you're not sitting there like this. So.
Yeah, I don't ask anybody questions. I walk through. I did the 9/11 memoriam up in Shanksville, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Same thing. I just had the camera running, spirit box is going. You wouldn't believe the amount of activity I got out of that.
When you were done, you can go through it and see.
I just go through everything later.
That's so cool.
That's my job.
Yeah. Discover all these little things. And
Well, nobody's ever claimed it.
Shall we go across the street or something?
But yeah, he's coming through. So we probably got enough film. We can wrap up over here. I might have to hire her. She's like leading the way.
Well, no, I didn't.
Alright, I'm going to stop your audio, start collecting your devices. Hopefully this was a great birthday present for you.
Yeah, that
and
was
you had
awesome.
some fun.
Really enjoyed it.
a little more excitement than the dowsing rods.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure. So
Not as
about an
hard.
hour and 40 minutes or so. And all of the recording is done here. I just control it from my phone. This is a three-way, so it actually picks up my voice plus any other voices that might be around me.
Okay.
So it's an upgrade that I just got. It's just
That's so
awesome.
cool.
Love it. So I'll take that from you.
Thank you very much.
No
Well,
problem.
thank you, Spirit, for showing us your energy on the sign
I
and,
know, right?
and all your
Hoping we got
words
that on
of
video.
wisdom. Yeah. You were pointing that way, weren't you?
Thank you.
Yeah, he was.
I think
I thought you were. I saw you holding it like this.
He was that way. I just don't know if the camera was that way.
yeah.
Oh.